And all the mailmen come to the door and they hope they can get the mail in before she comes, because they run away. Or the milkman, and when they get there they drop the bottles because she makes them so nervous. Her poor husband Richard is obviously kind of controlled by her, but it's so funny. He finally retires and she asks him to go out into the garden and do some gardening. So he gets his regular clothes on and says, "Richard, you can't go out to the garden like that. You have to put your tie on." So he says, "Why? I'm going out to the garden." He says, "You have to go out and look that way." Then he gets out into the garden and he's trimming the roses. She comes out and she says, "Richard, smile, Richard, smile, Richard." He says, "I'm just working on the garden, dear." She says, "You look like you're not rich enough to have gardeners. So you must smile, Richard. You must smile so people will think that you're rich enough to have gardeners." So she's so funny like that. Whenever she answers the phone and she's talking to somebody in the house, she says, "Oh, it's the phone. It must be someone important." And everything is about being important. And if you ever get a chance, if you've never seen it, watch it. Keeping up appearances. That's only the half of it. Well, today Jesus is talking to us in the gospel about, not being like the scribes and the Pharisees, who did everything for appearances. They were just like the bucket ones. They'd pray in the temple to look holy. They'd have their hands up. They'd sit in the best places in the temple. They did everything for attention, for appearances, so that they'd look good. Jesus says, don't be like the scribes and Pharisees. Religion is not about externals. It's about the inside. It's not how things look, but it's about your heart. He says, you've heard it said, do not kill. I say, don't even be angry at someone. Don't look at a woman with adulterous feelings. Don't commit adultery. If you look at a woman with those feelings, you've already committed adultery. Jesus is helping us, or trying to get us, to go deeper. To go deeper into our hearts and into our souls. That's where the Spirit is. That's where our faith is. That's where love is. It's not all about out here. That's pretty hard for us, though, because we live in a world and a culture in our country where it's all about appearances. You gotta have the best car, the best clothes, get your facelift. Everything's about you looking good. And if you look good, then you'll impress them. All the people running for president now, they're all trying to make us think that they're good by how they look and what they say. Everybody that's running, and the president himself. It's hard for us in a world like that thinks like that, to get down to the Spirit. Because most of our life we're operating on the externals. And we can't avoid it. And we're flesh and blood creatures, all of us. Jesus gave us the sacraments because they're flesh and blood, things we touch, water, wine, bread, oil. We need those externals because they're reminders to us of the spiritual. But we need to find our souls again. You don't even hear that word anymore, soul. It's a mystery. What is our soul? Is that when a person dies, when their soul leaves their body? That's what we used to think. Where do our souls go? Our souls are us. It's like our hearts, We need to discover our souls again. We need to think about our souls again. We need to think about our spirits, because that's where faith is. That's where love is. That's where hope is. It's hard for us Americans because we like instant everything. Spiritual life takes a long time, takes a lot of work, takes patience and endurance, hurt perseverance, and it takes time. Part of what is wonderful about the Spirit is St. John of the Cross once said that desire for union with God is already its beginning. That we might have that desire in us, because that's the beginning, that we might have that union with God. Thomas Merton says, I believe that the desire to please God does in fact please Him. And he says, I hope that I have that desire in everything I do. The author of The Cloud of Unknowing says, it is not what you are or what you have been that God sees with His all-merciful eyes, but what you desire to be. May we awaken that desire for union with God in our hearts and in our souls. Because we know, in the words of St. Augustine, you've made us for yourself. Our hearts are restless until they rest